Imagine waking up in a hospital bed, weak from emergency surgery, only to find out that someone stole your house while you were fighting for your life. And not just anyone, but the president of your neighborhood's HOA. A woman who smiled to your face but plotted behind your back. This is not fiction. This is my story. 6 months ago, I thought I'd found peace. I'd worked for years as a freelance architect, living below my means, taking odd jobs, sacrificing vacations. Also, I could finally afford my dream home. A quiet place in Willow Creek Estates, a neighborhood that practically advertised safety and serenity. But as it turns out, even the most perfect lawn can hide rotten roots. The day I moved in, I met her, Karen Winters. If you've never met someone like her, count yourself lucky. Clipboard in hand, a smile so tight it could cut glass. She greeted me not with warmth, but with an air of forced politeness. "Welcome to Willow Creek," she said, eyes scanning my moving boxes. "I'm Karen Winters, president of the Homeowners Association. Please review our bylaws immediately. We don't tolerate rule breakers here." She handed me a binder thicker than a phone book and pointed out, in our very first interaction, that my mailbox was 2 inches taller than the neighborhood standard. It was a warning. I didn't know it yet, but she'd already marked me as a target. At first, I played by the rules. I trimmed my grass. I hid my trash cans. I even bought a regulation-length garden hose because mine was apparently too bright. But then, I made a fatal mistake. I planted a vegetable garden. According to the HOA rules, backyard gardens were allowed, as long as they weren't visible from the street. Mine was behind the house, behind a beautiful wooden fence. But Karen wasn't satisfied. She showed up one morning, fuming. "Your garden violates Section 12, Paragraph 4, she snapped, her lips curled like she'd caught me committing a crime. "All gardens must be approved by the Landscaping Committee, which I chair." I calmly pointed to the very rulebook she gave me. The bylaws only mention street visibility. There's nothing about committee approval. Her eyes narrowed. That was when I saw it. This wasn't about the garden. It was about control. From that day on, she started a campaign. Daily warnings. Weekly fines. "Your lawn is a 1/4 inch too long. Your trash can was visible for 32 minutes. Your car's bumper is too shiny." It didn't matter that most of it was nonsense. I contested each one and won. I stood up at the HOA meetings and calmly read the bylaws. Karen hated it. She hated being challenged, especially by someone who refused to back down. And then things got worse. 2 weeks after winning another appeal about my garden, I collapsed in my kitchen with searing pain in my abdomen. I was rushed to the ER. A ruptured appendix. Simple, right? But complications set in. Infection. Sepsis. I spent 3 weeks in the hospital. Another 2 recovering at home. While I was unconscious, Karen made her move. She told neighbors she was checking on the property for me. Said she was watering the plants. Even had the gall to bring cookies to the neighborhood watch. In reality, she was staging a coup. When I returned home, still pale and barely able to walk, there was a notice taped to my door. Due to prolonged absence and abandonment, property has been reclaimed under HOA Ordinance 8C. New ownership documented. Eviction notice, 72 hours. My jaw dropped. There, filed at the county clerk's office, was a signed deed transfer, saying I had sold my house to Karen Winters for $1. Not only that, it was notarized, allegedly signed by me. While I was in intensive care, I called my cousin Jennifer, a real estate attorney. Fierce, relentless. She showed up within hours, scanned the documents, and said the words that finally gave me hope. "This is textbook fraud. We'll bury her." That night, she filed for an emergency injunction and began building our case. I gathered hospital records, time-stamped photos, everything. We even installed cameras just in case Karen tried anything else. The very next morning, she showed up again. 2 men with a truck behind her. "These gentlemen are here to help you move." She smirked like the devil himself had just handed her keys to heaven. But I stood my ground. I was ready this time. "Karen, you forged legal documents while I was fighting for my life. That's a felony. And now, I have security footage of you admitting it." The men with her turned pale and left. Her smile cracked. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "You're nothing in this town. I am this town." She was about to learn otherwise. 3 weeks later, we were in court. Karen strutted in, dressed like royalty, as if her status could protect her from the law. But when the judge saw the evidence, forged documents, the fake notarization, the hospital timestamps, even her browser history, it was over. Jennifer cross-examined her with surgical precision. Karen tried to lie. Then she tried to play victim. Then she exploded. "He didn't deserve that house," she screamed. "His garden was an eyesore. He broke rules. Someone had to teach him a lesson." The courtroom fell silent. The judge looked ready to throw the gavel at her. "Mrs. Winters," the judge said coldly, "you committed fraud, forgery, and attempted theft of real property, while this man was unconscious in a hospital bed. This court finds you guilty." She was cuffed right there, her eyes wide, her face pale. "But my reputation, I'm president of the HOA." "Not anymore," the judge said. Karen Winters was sentenced to 6 years in prison. She paid restitution, lost her job, lost her titles. As for me, I kept my home. My garden grew. My mailbox stayed tall. But most importantly, I learned something. Evil doesn't always come with a ski mask. Sometimes, it shows up with a clipboard and a fake smile. They say neighborhood disputes are minor. But what happens when power corrupts someone completely? When a position as small as HOA president turns into a throne? This wasn't just about a house. It was about justice. And in the end, justice won.